Hi everyone, my name's John and my channel here is called This Might Help, where I share things that have helped me mentally, physically, and spiritually. So today I want to talk about what therapy is not, which is in the title, but I also want to talk about what therapy is. And I'm headed this direction first because I think many people that have either been in therapy for quite a while or considering starting therapy, and specifically I'm talking about talk therapy, where you go to a therapist or counselor or psychologist or whoever and talk about your problems with them. And in general, the perception seems to be that therapy can fix you, or therapy can cure you, or at least help you quite a bit. But I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in there. There was for me in my years and years of being involved in therapy. And that is that, yeah, thinking that therapy, something outside of you, is going to fix you, I think is a mistake. I think the best explanation we have for why two people can go to the same therapist and one gets really good results and says, oh, the therapy helped me change and helped me solve my problems and I'm happier and feeling better and all this kind of stuff. And then someone else goes to the same therapist and says, well, I don't feel any better. I don't think they understood me and I don't think I got anything out of it. Well, the best explanation we have for that is that it's up to us. We fix us. We apply or we don't apply what the therapy offers and what the therapist does. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it is up to us to make the change. And dare I say this, it's kind of obvious because we all know we have free will and we can say, no, I don't want to change, or I'm not going to go to therapy, or I'm going to go to therapy, but I'm not going to do what they say, just the same way a parent can tell us to do something and we say, no, I'm not doing that. So anyway, so when I brought this up with my therapist and I said, does therapist change the client? Does therapy change the person who's coming to therapy? And he said, no. He said the person is always in charge of their own development, their own growth. However, he said what the therapy offers, which can often lead to the person accepting that process and applying what's being offered in therapy, are four kind of foundational principles. So very quickly, this is what therapy is, or at least foundational principles that should be there if you're in therapy. So if you're starting therapy, you want to look for these. You want to know, like, hey, am I getting these? And maybe if you've been with a therapist for a long time, and after hearing these things, you say, I'm not sure I am getting those. Maybe I can talk to my therapist about getting these things included or as underlying principles in what's going on in therapy. So in talk therapy, what he said, optimally, I mean, in the best case situation, best case scenario, the therapist offers unconditional positive regard for the process of living, okay? So how often do we get that everywhere else? Not 100% of the time. Do you think we're gonna get that at work or in our families or even with our friends and loved ones? We don't always. So if therapy is on target, that's what they offer. They offer unconditional positive regard for whatever's going on with you. So that was one. Number two is therapy is always an invitation. We don't force anyone to change. We don't put pressure on them or whatever, any kind of force. It's an invitation. And an invitation by its very nature is something that can be declined. That's why, quote unquote, sometimes therapy doesn't work for people, because the therapist is offering an invitation to transform or change their life or try doing things differently, and they say no, or I'm not ready for that, or I don't think that's the right thing for me, or whatever. So anyway, so we invite therapists and people who are offering change, they invite. They don't force, they don't guilt and shame and do things like that to get someone to change, because that won't work ultimately, or at least it won't work very well. Number three is we encourage, or sorry, I'm saying we, but I'm talking about what we get from therapists. We get encouragement. So my therapist said, we put unconditional positive regard, we invite, and we encourage. We say, hey, we sell it a little bit, he said. We try to get people to see the benefit of looking at things differently, of changing their perspective, and that can lead to feeling and functioning better. And then the last thing is offering alternatives, which of course is a part of that invitation and encouragement. An effective therapist will say, hey, maybe we can reframe the way you're looking at your work life or your marriage or your family relationships or whatever it is, whatever's troubling you if you come as a client. So anyway, so those are the 4 things he says. So what therapy is not a cure-all. It is not a panacea. What therapy is not, I should have said. What therapy is not a panacea. It's not a cure-all. But it is a place, when done correctly or effectively, it offers unconditional positive regard for you and whatever's going on with you, encouragement. It's always an invitation, never forced, and offers alternative ways to look at life so that you can develop and grow. So I thought that was a really good answer, and I wanted to share it with all of you in the hopes that it might help. Thank you very much for watching.